This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we've got a very hotly contested and interesting mayor's race here in Montgomery this year. It's a long, hot summer in the capital city. A lot of politics, not just state politics, but city politics. Current mayor Todd Strange is not running for re-election, and as many of you know, most of the viewers that watch this show are in the river region, so we've got a very, very important, pivotal mayor's race here in Montgomery. And we have as our guest tonight one of the brightest young politicos in the state, and one of the leading candidates, if not the leading candidate for mayor in the city mayor's race this year, this summer, August 27th, probate judge Stephen Reed.
Thank you for being here.
Stephen, we had you on the show when you ran for probate judge. Seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
It sure does. I mean, it's good to be back with you, and I appreciate you allowing me to be here.
You don't age much.
Well, I'm trying not to.
How old are you now, Stephen?
45.
Well, you're older than you look like you are.
Well, that's good. That's how we want to keep it.
Stephen, now let me tell you, now you have any children?
I do.
Tell us about you.
We have a girl and 2 boys.
Your wife from Montgomery?
She's from New Orleans.
Did y'all meet in college?
We did. We met in Atlanta. We met in the other seat. Now, you probably would think that's church, but we met in the club. So
let me ask
that's
you,
where we met.
Stephen, now you born and raised here in Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
Where did you go to school growing up? Here?
Growing up, I went to Vaughn Road, Cloverdale, and Jeff Davis.
Did you play sports or anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you?
I was all Metro.
Basketball?
Football.
Football? Where are you?
Free safety, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
I'm going way back in the archives now, Steve.
You were a free safety at Jeff Davis?
Absolutely, yeah. So
you were starting everything?
Yes, sir.
6 years for school?
Yep, and then lettered at Morehouse.
You went to Morehouse undergraduate?
Yes.
I didn't know Morehouse had a football team.
Well, that's not good.
So
that means, listen, well, that may not be that bad. You know,
it's a good academic school, right?
It's a great academic school. So, you know, kind of like, usually there's an inverse there between the sports programs and the academic reputation. So
you didn't meet your wife in Atlanta at Morehouse. It was after Morehouse?
Yes, it was after that time. Yes, sir. So we had a good time. Met when I moved back to Atlanta from Dallas, Texas. I'd been working at American Airlines at their corporate headquarters, a marketing performance analyst, and moved back to Atlanta and do management consulting.
Did you major in marketing in college?
I didn't. I majored in business administration with a concentration in finance.
Did you got your law degree, didn't you?
Well, I got my MBA. So I got my MBA from Vanderbilt.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
In business?
We did. Yeah, so.
Your brother's a lawyer.
He is.
Is he older or younger than you?
He's older. He's a lot older.
I never have even met him, I don't think.
Well, you know what? He's a good guy. He just doesn't look as good as me.
Is he named after your daddy?
He is. And so is my son. We got another Joe.
Is that right? But he wouldn't be the third. He'd just be just Joe.
Yeah, he's just Joe.
What's your dad's middle name?
Lewis.
Is he named after him?
No, his middle name is Klein. So we just
with
a
C or K?
With a K.
So I remember your daddy was named after Joe Louis the boxer.
That's right.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
A lot of folks in the South would name their kids after famous athletes.
Yeah, yeah.
But now was he born over in Chambers County?
No, he's born in Connecticut County.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Sure was.
I've known your daddy for years, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you guys go way back. I'm sure y'all have some old stories to tell about how things used to work in the Capitol and the State House.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. He and Dr. Hubbard really had some power there, you know.
They did. I think they did a great job.
Well, one of the reasons they did, Stephen, is their word was good.
Yes.
You know, if back in those days, if you told somebody something, in an arena like the legislature, you can't tell people lies because you got to work with them.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to be honest. Your dad probably taught you that up front.
Absolutely.
If you can help somebody with something, do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll try to help you with it, but if you can't, just tell them the truth about it.
Absolutely. His thing has been let your word be your bond and let your handshake be your contract. And that's all it takes.
I trained with an old crusty probate judge in my county named Ben Reeves, and I'd watch him and he would tell me, he says, now when you get into politics, don't tell people you can help them with something you can't do it.
Absolutely.
Just be honest with them and they'll like you a lot better than just lying to them and saying, so make your word count.
That's right.
And that your daddy always had that reputation. Dr. Hubbard did too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's how they stayed around so long. And I think that's why they were so impactful. And that's what we try to do in the probate court, and that's what I've tried to do in my career as well.
I've heard good things, Stephen, about your job as probate judge. You're doing a good job over there.
We try hard, and we've got a great staff and a great team, and we just try to make sure that we're doing everything we can to serve the people of Montgomery County and to be an example and a blueprint for other probate courts, not just in this state, but in this country. And I think we've done a good job of doing that, from elections to our mental health programs to some of our community action, as well as just kind of making sure we're out there in the public and trying to educate them on the court process itself.
You know, Stephen, I got a lot of good friends that are probate judges around the state. Some of them serve me in the legislature, and I keep in touch with them. You know, Bobby Junkins is still serving as probate judge in Etowah County. He was good friends with your daddy.
Yes, sir.
Your daddy helped him the first time he ran. And Bobby and I both were tall, and we had kind of this Indian look to our face, Bobby more so than me. And old Alvin was talking to us one day, and he would always get us confused. And old Alvin would say, "You white boys look just alike. All y'all look just alike." He would say to me and Junkie.
Representative Alvin Holmes?
Yeah, Alvin was my good friend, and we served together a long time. And Alvin would call me Junkins and Junkins me. And I'd say, "Alvin, don't you know the difference in us?" He says, "All you white boys look alike to me."
Something only he could say.
I know.
For sure.
Anyway, back to what I tell you about Junkins. I asked some of those old probate judges who burn out. Junkins ain't burned out yet, but I say, "What's the hardest thing y'all got?" Most of them will say the commitment hearings have gotten somewhat more pronounced now. That in the old days, somebody say the elections just drive me crazy, or this job drives me crazy. But now, a lot of y'all's time, people don't realize this, y'all the ones who commit people.
Absolutely.
And all this drug stuff has caused a lot of commitments, hasn't it?
Well, it has. Our mental health system in this state has been cut by over 40% in the last decade. And that's put a tremendous amount of responsibility on both the probate court as well as the sheriff's office. And so we don't have the treatment facilities that we need. We don't have the services that we need, nor the resources. And families are suffering. Families are suffering, and we see that, on a daily basis. And we try to do what we can to work with our public and private partnerships here, NAMI and Baptist Health, as well as Jackson Hospital and various other groups, church groups as well, to help people with that commitment process and to reduce the recidivism rate of people who are getting committed to the Department of Mental Health and then are released. Because right now there's no more long-term commitments. And so you're not there more than a week or two unless you're just in a real bad situation. But those are the exceptions. The rules are you're pretty much gone in less than a week. Whether that's good or bad, and usually it's not good, that's just what we have. And until we rebuild our mental health system in this state, we're going to continue to see that in our probate courts. And we're going to continue to see that in our law enforcement as well. Because right now our county jails are housing more people who are suffering from mental illness than any hospital in the state.
Yeah. Stephen, let's get off on the mayor's race since you're running for mayor on everything. But, most people who watch state politics and Montgomery politics are saying this is the year that Montgomery will elect their first African-American mayor, and I'm of that school. But most other people who know Montgomery and know your family and know you wonder why you would leave such a good job as probate judge to be mayor. Does it have to do with the fact you think you can contribute more? What made you decide you want to? Because people are predicting you probably may win this race, and what made you think you want to leave a cushy job you got nailed down like that, as you know what you're doing every day, and you got that office in good shape? What caused you to want to run for mayor?
Certainly the challenge to impact the city and the community in a much larger way than we've been able to do from the probate court. We've had a great 6 years, and I'm very thankful to the citizens of Montgomery County who reelected me in November of 2018 without opposition to another 6 years. But unfortunately, we can't really put our thumb on the scale from the judicial post. We have to take a position of objectivity and neutrality, and so we aren't able to weigh in on things like public schools or public education and really try to do some of the things that I believe the city and the county can accomplish. And, you know, there are some who prefer comfort. I prefer challenges. And, you know, I like to take different ways to work. I like to take, you know, trips to different places, and I like to learn about different things. And so I'm not really one who's for just the convenience as much as I am, where is the opportunity to make an impact? Where's the opportunity to really change the outcomes for people and to really impact the city? And right now is in the mayor's position. And I really feel like, based on our track record, we're trusted. We've operated that office with a great level of integrity, and I believe we had the best vision for the city of Montgomery to move us forward and to create a brighter future for not just even the city, but for the entire river region. What many people don't quite understand is that our impact goes beyond just Montgomery and just goes beyond the Tri-Counties. It reaches as far as South Central Alabama. And so Montgomery really sets the pace for a large part of this state that right now economically is not on the same level as North Alabama, that even from a cultural standpoint, we're somewhat behind, and academically, we're not where we need to be. So we have a number of challenges, and to be honest, I don't think that we have anyone in this race that has the level of productivity or that has a level of positive results in their political career that I have. And I think that when you combine that with the vision that we have for this city to create opportunity and to expand that for people across this city who may have felt forgotten about or left behind or left out, that really puts us in a great place, and I think that's why our message is resonating so well. But we really want to delve into public education. We really want to change the paradigm there.
That's what I was going to ask you about is that's got to be the foremost problem in Montgomery. But here's the thing about it. People may not think about it, but the Montgomery mayor does not really have a direct impact on that school problem because it's a Montgomery County school board, and it's really a county thing. I don't know how y'all can, other than the bully pulpit, what do you think as mayor you can do to because that is stymieing the growth of Montgomery?
Absolutely.
You know that.
Well, that is, you know, it's kind of the stick and the carrot. So I think we have to use the approach from the mayor's position of working with the county and working with our school system on some other things to really get some of the initiatives in play that we would like to see. I really believe that we should have a high-quality, fully funded, universal pre-K program in this county.
So the city could pay for that?
The city could help with that, absolutely. And I believe that we also—
That is important.
Well, it's very important because, you know, other communities that have so greatly moved past us are educating kids starting at ages 3 and 4. And so if you do that, then those kids are more than likely to be at grade level when they start kindergarten and to remain at grade level by 3rd grade. Right now, kids are starting out at kindergarten behind, and so if it's like a race, if you go up to the starting line and you have to take 3 steps back and another person is 3 steps ahead, well, that's where our kids are right now because we have not invested fully in a high-quality pre-K program. But also, we don't have the apprenticeship programs that I would like to see in Montgomery.
What does that mean, apprenticeship?
So the apprenticeship programs are programs where you allow students as early as 6th grade to maybe choose a different track. If they don't want to go to college, they don't want to do the academic side, they can learn a skill, and it's not just the old home ec, it's not just the old carpentry and things like that. Now, you can choose to be a plumber, you can choose to be a welder, but it's also learning coding. It's also learning software development. It's learning through academic experience as well as professional exposure to some careers that don't necessarily require a college degree. So for those kids who decide they don't want to go to college or they may not be interested in being in school from 8 to 3 all day, it allows them to focus on their skills and their passion and their interests, and that keeps them engaged. And so it keeps them engaged to the degree that dropout rates decrease, behavior levels decrease as well. So you see a lot of positive outcomes from people who may be bored with the academic side of school, but would love to learn a skill or a trade very early, and by the 11th grade, and not 12th grade, but by the 11th grade, they are able to go into the workforce and start working with some of those companies and some of those firms of which they would have been getting some exposure to for the previous 3 to 4 years.
That is a great idea. I think that's logical. I used to say that a long time ago when I was in legislature. I say, why don't y'all have something with, every kid's not going to be a rocket scientist.
Exactly.
Every kid doesn't want to go to Morehouse or
That's
Vanderbilt. Right. I mean, they just want to be a regular, and usually those jobs pay more.
They pay a lot more. You don't have the student loans. You don't have the debt hanging over your head, and so it puts you on a track to achieve, the middle class lifestyle that so many people are working hard this day to achieve and just can't. And one of the things we have to do, and I believe in Montgomery we're primed to do that, is restore the dignity of work. We have to make sure people are earning a livable wage. And so we are the state capital, but we have to also kind of lead from the front for the rest of the state. And I believe that we can do that through our vision and through our platform in a number of ways that really catapults Montgomery into a totally different stratosphere as opposed to where we are right now. And I don't believe that it has to take 10 years or 20 years to turn it around. I think it just takes really the courage to get it done and to talk to the people of this community, let them know what some of our challenges are, and let them know what some of our solutions are and ask for their input. And you know what? I think working together and bringing people together in a unified manner, we can change a lot of the things that we've been dealing with here for over a decade now.
Stephen, let me ask you this. I know more about education than being a novice like I am. But what about does other major cities in the state like Birmingham and Mobile have apprenticeship programs? Or this is something you just thought about?
No, some of them have what I would call a very scaled down version of it. But what I'm talking about, we've seen implemented in full scale in Middle Tennessee and Nashville. Colorado has it statewide, so does the state of Washington. So it is certainly on the more progressive side of educating our citizens and our students right now. You know, from a national, international perspective, the United States is right around 16th to 17th in our reading and math and our STEM areas. I shouldn't say reading, in our STEM areas. Well, part of the reason why we're losing traction to other industrialized countries is because we aren't meeting our kids and starting them out early enough in their educational careers. And so what we want to do in Montgomery is to really be an innovator in that regard. We really want to be a first adopter to that and really be in the blueprint for what apprenticeships can do. Because once we do that, not only do we change the lives of the students and their families, we change our entire economy. We change the ability to attract talent here and to bring in jobs and to really bring in a different type of jobs than what we've been doing over these last 10 to 20 years, which has been primarily service and manufacturing. Now we're able to get into 21st century jobs in more of the knowledge-based economy because our students are being exposed early. So,
but Stephen, talk about industry. You probably could overlap and make that apprenticeship program sort of dovetail with the community college thing to help prepare people for this Hyundai plant.
Well, absolutely.
See, that's one of the things you've got to get folks ready. If you start them in the 4th, 5th, or 6th grade,
that's right,
knowing that's where they wanted to go.
Yes.
You could have really a trained workforce that Hyundai would like to see out there.
Well, and not just Hyundai, it will put us in position to bring in a higher level of manufacturer here, and it really would change that dynamic. And that's exactly what we're looking at. We have great universities in this community and in this state. We certainly know that a lot of our students are going to go to Troy, they're going to go to Auburn, they're going to go to University of Alabama and Tuskegee and places like that. But again, there are some people who want to go right into the workforce, and we want to make sure that they can do that right here in our school system. And I believe if we do that, that gives us a competitive advantage over some of the other communities, not only in this state, but in this region.
Stephen, you know this, having been born and raised here and knowing Montgomery. It helps you to have been born and raised here to actually know the people of Montgomery.
Absolutely.
And have seen it here 45 years. But the one thing I'll share with you, I was sitting here and had Todd Strange on the show probably 3 or 4 years ago now, sitting where you are. And I said to him, it was a downturn in the economy and the state government was shrinking and Medicaid was a severe problem for the state and funding it. And I said to him just casually, I said, I guess y'all have been hurt in Montgomery by the downturn with state employees, that being your number one industry. He said, well, Steve, that's not our number one employer. An outside person from around the state would think state government was the largest employer in Montgomery. I said, oh, is Hyundai bigger than that? He said, no, Maxwell Gunnery is our biggest employer.
Absolutely. People
don't realize the importance of Maxwell Gunnery to this community. Now, I think we're insulated for the next 4 years as long as Senator Shelby is there. Nobody's going to fool with it. But there's already complaints about, I'm going to ask you a twofold question. Maxwell Gunnery is a very important economic engine to this city. You do not want to lose any impact from that thing. From two aspects, there are a large number, and you being a Montgomeryan know this, of retirees from out there that are officers that retire in Montgomery because they like Montgomery, like the climate, they like the environment, they like the cost of living, and they're the backbone of a lot of church organizations.
Absolutely.
If you look around your community, there's a lot of retired Air Force generals and colonels and whatever in this town, and if you look around, they're doing a lot of civic work and church work. That's important, but they're also you read things that they're saying that a lot of these officers who are sent here for a year or two will not move here because of the school system. Mm-hmm. So there's several reasons to make that school system better. What's your take on that? Do you see if you don't get Montgomery in shape better, that you really could take a kick in the teeth 5 or 6 years from now?
Absolutely.
Do you agree with me about that?
I do, and
the importance of Maxwell Gunnery.
Absolutely, and that's part of why I decided to run for this position, because I thought it was too important not to. It was too risky not to get involved and then be on the sidelines Monday morning quarterbacking decisions that were being made. But I believe this. I don't think you can have a Saks Fifth Avenue product on the Sears budget. And I think too often in this community and throughout this state even, we want something for nothing. And, you pay for what you get. And
your property taxes here are very low.
Well, that's an understatement. We're at the bottom in
exactly.
that. And there are a number
that's
of ways.
That's what funds education in other cities.
Sure. And we have to invest in those things that really have the biggest impact on our communities. We're losing jobs not just to places in Alabama. We're losing jobs to places throughout this country because we have not invested in this state. We don't have the funding for state troopers. We don't have the funding for our healthcare system. We don't have the funding for our prisons. We don't have the funding for our infrastructure and our roads. And so we have to decide whether or not we're going to continue to be mediocre and expect great results, or do we want to put in great work and then see those results come on the backside. And so as it relates to Maxwell Gunnery, it's too important of a jewel for this community to lose. But I believe that we also have to make sure we're thinking about the people in the neighborhoods who live here and who don't just come here for a year or two. I'm as concerned about them and their everyday well-being and their everyday access to public transportation, their everyday access to quality food resources, their everyday access to health care and good schools and community centers. We want to make this a quality of place that everyone puts at the top of their list and ranks as a first choice and not one of a last resort. And that means really investing in the long term in this community and really doing some uncommon things so we can get uncommon results. And I believe if we do that, not only will the people in the neighborhoods who've been lifelong citizens of Montgomery or who may have moved here from other parts of this state benefit, I believe our servicemen and women certainly will have a different perception of Montgomery and will tell and advise other members of our armed forces that they should consider coming here while they're on active status and even certainly once they retire. We want the talent, we want everything that they bring, and we have to make sure we do everything that's necessary to keep it.
Stephen, all areas of the city are concerned about that there may be a crime problem.
Sure.
Now, if there is, I've seen statistics that show that Montgomery is underfunded as far as a number of policemen. Is that one of the remedies you think are you currently is the city of Montgomery currently underfunded? I had somebody tell me that comparative size cities have more policemen or something.
I think at one time Montgomery was. I think they've done a much better job recently of trying to level that. But I think we're having as big of a challenge recruiting and retaining our first responders as much as anything.
Is your pay not competitive? Is that what it is?
I think when you look at the pay and you look at the retirement, those are two areas that Montgomery is a little bit behind on. And I think we also have to make sure that we're using data and technology as best we can. And I'm not sure that we've invested in that to our fullest extent. Now, maybe to the extent that the past administrations have seen in the budget. But again, it's like anything else. You can't run a university on the budget that you had in the 1990s. You have to run a university based on where higher education is going now. Well, the same thing applies for other forms of government, including municipalities. And those municipalities and communities that don't do that fall further and further behind the rest of this country. And in the global economy that we're in, it's all about talent and resources. Who has the talent and who has the resources? And it is a free-for-all. And if you aren't in that competition, then you're not thought about and you're left further and further behind. And what we want to do in Montgomery is not just be a one-trick pony where we're depending on the government, whether that's the federal government with Maxwell Gunnery or if that's even the state government being the capital. We want to have a multi-dimensional economy here that reaches everyone. Certainly service and manufacturing is very important, but we want to be in that knowledge-based economy field. We want to pull the STEM clusters that we have from Tuskegee and Auburn, pull those engineers and not let them get to Alpharetta, Georgia. We don't want them to get to Lawrenceville, Georgia, and Kennesaw and Atlanta and places like that. We want to keep that talent here. We want to bring those young families here and get them to invest and see the benefit of living in Montgomery and all that it has to offer. And that means we just really have to prioritize what type of quality of place we want to be, and then be grown and courageous enough to have the big boy conversations with everyone in the community, from the stakeholders to the communities and the neighborhood leaders, and let them know how this is going to impact and benefit them. And I think you'll see some benefits and you'll see some changes here.
I think you will. Folks, our guest tonight has been Montgomery mayoral candidate Stephen Reed, and Judge Reed is the current probate judge of Montgomery County and is running for mayor of Montgomery in the August 27th election. And we thank Stephen for being with us tonight, and thank you viewers for watching Alabama Politics. Hope you tune in again next week. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.